Hello. Now, do you hear me? Everybody that is here hears me? Yeah. I had no idea what happened, but I could see you, but I couldn't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. So it's recorded. I can begin?
Yes, but everybody should mute everybody else, okay? Except for Rebbe Schatz.
Yeah. And now you see me and you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. We were talking about what to teach now, and we decided, if it's good for you, that since Purim, the whole world is speaking about Purim now, and then soon after Purim we stop, we're going to speak about Pesach and get into Pesach, because when
but I don't
learns before Pesach. What do you say about this?
Very
Everybody
good.
agrees? Yeah? I don't hear you, Rosiva. Bryna, what do you say? Everybody agrees? So the truth is,
I said don't say that word, Pesach. Okay, fine.
Yeah, no, I think that people don't
you
like
say the word Pesach and I get nervous. Yes, that's right. I can't do it anymore.
So go to your children.
I have to. I'm forcing my granddaughters to come and help me. Okay, I'll be quiet.
Okay. Okay. I want to connect Purim with Pesach. I want to connect it. In chapter 4 of Megillas Esther, Mordechai has answered to Esther, who is giving very logical reasons why it would be more worthwhile to wait for the king to call her than she going from herself to the king, because it's forbidden to go, and because if she goes from her own will, she's being forbidden to Mordechai for a lifetime, in case she could go back to him if she's his wife. And even if the king lets her live, he did her such a big favor that then she can't ask for a favor. It's all good reasons. And he tells her, if you don't go, who knows if you won't die for it? Who knows if you did not become queen because of it? And who knows if you're not here to be metaken the sin of Shaul, your ancestor, who did not kill Amalek, etc. So therefore she says, okay, I am going. But I need you to gather the whole of Klal Israel, which is a concept of Achdus, who are in Shushan, and tell them and you to fast for 3 days, and then I'll go to the king. And me and my girls, we are going to fast as well. Says the Midrash, whichever, it's a Midrash and it's a Gemara, however you count those 3 days, but the one day which is Leila Seder is in it. Either it is Yud Gimel, Yud Dalet, Tet Vav, either it's Yud Dalet, Tet Vav, Tet Zayin, whatever it is, Pesach is in it. How can she ask Mordechai to fast Leil HaSeder, which is that the first kezayis of matzah is the oraisa, and we have to eat it. It's not just like a, Seudah Shlishit, yes, no, what, no. And the answer is, she is a prophetess, he is a prophet, and Hora'at Sha'ah, in case of emergency, for a one-time pikuach nefesh, etc., mesirus nefesh, one is allowed to do it. So it will be a Pesach where they are fasting, okay? Miyad shama Mordechai vehoda lidvareha, meaning that they fasted, okay? They fasted on Pesach, on that year. And this is a kesher between Purim and Pesach. Now, because we're going to speak about Pesach, I first have to get you involved. Rosiva, you're speaking? I don't hear a word. You're muted.
I have a question. I'm confused. Are you talking, this is the, I mean, Purim comes before Pesach. So they fasted the Pesach before the next Purim?
Before what?
Purim?
Yes, I understand
fasted?
what you're asking. They fasted the Pesach before the next Purim when they were going to get killed.
Yeah. The whole story,
Okay,
the
fine.
whole story is before. The whole story is before.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
Okay, I understand. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
But I wanted to show you that there are even, we are learning about Pesach because you have heard so much about Purim, and there is never an opportunity to learn a little bit more about Pesach. So here I want us to be a little bit more into the Haggadah, because after Purim, there is very little time to learn. We'll have perhaps one shiur or two shiurim, and then everybody is going to say, so please stop. We can't have shiurim till one day before Pesach. And this is what happens as well, always, for example, on Sukkot, because everybody has chofesh between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. I don't know too many people that like to learn a lot during the 3 or 4 days maximum that are between Yom Kippur and Sukkot. So Sukkot is always left alone. And sometimes in Elul, I teach a little bit about Sukkot. You understand?
Can I say something? Wait. I learned once that the reason when it's a Ibayur that we make Purim on the second Adar is because Somchim Geula LeGeula. So it must be a lot of connections.
Absolutely. Somchim LeGeula LeGeula. For those that were, we learned about Tefillah and Geula as well. And there are a lot of things connected, okay? But we do Purim, the real Purim, not Purim Katan, and not Shushan Purim Katan, and there are a lot of halachas connected with all these things interesting, which is just before Pesach, so it goes very fast. The whole concept of Pesach is speed. Hashem saves us at such a speed, and it's only speed because we're human beings, because by Hashem, He's above time. But we can't feel what is above time because we are in time. We are created in time. But at least we can feel the chipazon, the speed. And the chipazon is one of the big subjects of Pesach. We'll get there. Okay, everybody? But first, let's go to the simple things, to all the simple things. For example, everybody knows these things, but matzah and chametz are almost the same letters. The only difference is a tiny chet and hey, a little piece between the hey and the top, which is like a resh, you know, or a daled or whatever you want. And if not, it's like it comes out chametz, because the matzah is as well a tzaddik and is as well a mem, so only the hey and the chet. Because the ingredients are exactly the same. The only difference is speed. And we have the famous in Parashat Bo, Al Tikra Matzah Ela Mitzvah. Mitzvah haba'a leyatcha al tachmitzena. A mitzvah that comes to your possibility, to your door, don't make it into chometz. Don't make it spoiled. Don't spoil it. How do we spoil it? By working the matzah a tiny bit more than 18 minutes. 18 is high, right? It's what makes the matzah into a matzah, less than 18 minutes. So in a lot of cases, all the sforim that speak about the different midas speak as well about zrizus. We have a story of David HaMelech that hesitated for a moment just to give food to a pauper that was asking, and the pauper fell in front of his eyes. And we have this with a lot of things. And another thing, for example, when it says in Pirkei Avot, Im lo achshav matai. No, tomorrow, big deal. Tomorrow, no. Tomorrow is another day. Tomorrow I could have done another mitzvah. But the mitzvah that I did not do today, I will never be able to do it tomorrow. It will be a different mitzvah, but not the same mitzvah, because time does not come back. Time comes back, but that's another philosophical subject that we'll speak another time. We'll speak about it Pesach because we'll speak a lot about time for Pesach. Time is one of the big subjects of Pesach. So we have Pesach, which is as well, so matzah and the chometz are very, very close. And why are we compared to matzah OUisrael? Because bread is different in the middle and on the outside. This is a crust and this is a soft part. But matzah is, whichever way you turn, it's the same. And OUisrael, tocho kevaro. Our pnim and our chutz should be the same. V'lo yachlu, the brothers of Yosef could not speak to him, because since they can't be hypocrite, they can't be different inside and outside, so they can't speak to him. Because at this moment, they hate him, and they think that he's a rodef, a pursuer, so they can't talk to him. So even though it's terrible, but it's a compliment, because they are honest, because they are emes. So the matzah represents emes. And an equilateral triangle is as well something which is not hypocrite. What do I mean? Whichever way you look at it, it looks the same. So the segol is 3 points, each one far from the other one, the same size. And we are am segula, which is a segol. So whichever way you look at it, we should be the same. We should be that you can't say, oh, she lied, or she looked one way, but she's a different way, etc., etc. So we have all these things in symbolism of the matzah. We have speed, we have honesty, we have emes, we have all these things. Seder, the Seder night, again, the Seder is something fascinating, because on the night of the Seder, we have to go according to a certain order and not be balagan, that's why we have 15 words that are going to announce the night in advance. You don't have to make it till 4 in the morning, but you have to take the time to know that you have to go through all the things. In other words, if a girl makes me a test and I have 10 questions and I tell the girl, look at the whole test before you begin. They have 1 hour to make a test of 10 questions, and they answer me only 6 questions, but they are marvelously answered. So I'm sure that she knows the other 4 questions, but I cannot give her a good mark, because she had to, part of the test is to check how long you should take for each question so that you can answer all the questions. It's a certain balance that you have to. We are going to have the 15 words that are going to tell us how to live again Yetziat Mitzrayim. We have spent hours at different shiurim when we did Rav Wolbe and other things, speaking about how we have to live until today the Yetziat Mitzrayim, how we have to take the kids on our laps and tell them the stories and make it alive, because Yetziat Mitzrayim is such an important part of our emunah. That's what made us into a nation. That's the very first of the Aseres Adibros, of the 10 Commandments, because it speaks about Hashgacha Pratit. Okay, Hashem created the world, should have been the first commandment. Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher barati et haolam. No, man was not there, so not. But at Yetziat Mitzrayim we were there. Okay, so therefore we have to just to get into the subject to speak about those 15 words. Okay, so I'm sure you all know it, but let's do it. Kadesh is the first, and it's the first Kiddush. The men come back from Shul, and immediately we make Kiddush. The difference with the whole year is that everybody says a Kiddush with him. Yes, we're standing and everybody says a Kiddush with him. Urechat, there are 2 minhagim. More and more, people are more frum nowadays. It's easier to be frum than not to say Lashon Hara. So people are very, very, very frum today. They take more and more frumros. But rechat is that before we have the karpas, which is to take a piece of vegetable and dip it into water with salt, we wash the hands as if we wash for bread, but we don't say any brocha. Okay? So originally, most in older generations, if even till 30 years ago, most of the time was only the balabait that did it, based on the fact that he's the one that dips the vegetable into the water and then gives it to people. Today, we realize that we are going to touch something wet as well. And even though nowadays it doesn't apply, but we have the minhag to wash the hands. There are 7 liquids that if you dip any food that you're going to eat into them, and the truth is if you touch it, then you have to wash your hands before. But like blood, you don't dip things in blood. Perhaps you could dip into the blood of fish, which is not forbidden, but and it's in honey, and a piece of dry cake in coffee, because then it becomes soft again, and you put it in your mouth. Theoretically, we should wash the hands. People don't remember it. There is a heter, for example, for a cucumber, not for a cucumber, for a pickle. If you take it with a fork and you don't touch it, it's not if your mouth touches something wet, the mouth not. But if your hands touch a pickle and you take it, theoretically we should wash the hands. People forget to do it. Okay? So because we're going to take the karpas, it's milk, it's, as I said, blood, it's honey, it's milk, it's a lot of the water for sure, it's a lot of 7 liquids. Okay? Wine, that's rechatz. So nowadays, most people do go to wash their hands with a kli, and we bring it to the balabait or to the few balebatim because they are free people, and it's a sign that free people are served. Okay, not that we are not served, but they are like the leader of the Leila Seder, and that's why they do it. People do things without knowing the reason. Karpas is the vegetable. It's not important what. It can be, most people will use parsley or one of those things, but you can use potatoes, horseradishes, little red horseradish, whatever you want. Yachat, you take, since in the Seder plate, which we'll talk about, we have 3 matzot, one under the other. You take the middle one, you cut it in 2 with one bigger piece than the other. The bigger piece becomes the afikoman, which you cover in something and you hide it. And the other half, a bit less than half, you put back in the, whether it's on shelves or whether it's just on his place of the balabait or in the middle of the table, whatever. That's yachat. Yachat means to cut. Magid is a long part. It's lehagid, Haggadah. This is like Sipur Yotziat Mitzrayim. The difference between Haggadah and Sipur. Okay, Sipur, amongst other things, is sapphire. Sapphire is the same letters as Sipur, because we're going to have a lot of pearls in the Haggadah, okay? And then we have Rachza, we wash the hands. After Magid, at the end, we'll go back to it, we wash the hands with a brocha asher kiddushanu, al netilat yadayim. And then we have 2 words, which is really one thing. Motzi matzah, it's a moitzi. And then we take the 2 matzot, which are whole, but there isn't enough if you have a lot of guests. So the main thing is to take a little bit of the piece of matzah, the matzah that you made the brocha on, and you add so that you have a kezayis matzah. For those people that don't know exactly, nowadays more or less, more and more we know, you should weigh before Yom Tov or Shabbos, Yom Tov, whatever, how much, at least to see by some of it. Because if you take too much, you won't be able to eat all the matzah that we're supposed to eat in Leila Seder. And if you have less than a kezayis matzah, you have your first kezayis matzah, the oraisa, which you did not eat, which is chaval. It's the oraita. It's from the Torah itself. So, and why 2 words, motzi matzah? Because we have 2 brochas. It's the only time in the year where you have 2 brachot for a piece of bread or matzah that you eat. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, tzivanu al achilat matzah. Tzivanu in Torah shebichtav, tzivanu matzah. Okay. Now we are after moitzi, and then maror. You remember that when you ate the karpas, you made the borei pri adama because it was before moitzi, but after kiddush. This is a source that in between kiddush and moitzi, even Friday night, you're starving or you need a cup of water or a glass of coffee or a cup of coffee, or you need of Coca-Cola, anything, you are allowed after Kiddush, Friday night, before Moitzi, to take something based on this. We had Kadesh, which is a Kiddush. We have Karpas, which is something that you take, and the Moitzi much later. So like you have the Karpas, you could take something. We usually don't do it. We don't need it, but we could. And then the Maror, when you have the Maror, you are remembering that you made a broche for Karpas, Borei Pri Adama, which was as well with the Kavana of the Maror, because Maror is as well a vegetable, okay? But it has to be a kezais. And that's why a lot of people in olden times took horseradish, which was very, very sharp, but most of them took a tiny bit and did not, it's am haaretz, and did not take a kezais. And that's why nowadays we take Roman lettuce, and we take endives, some people take, and something which reminds of, why do we take Roman lettuce, which is very, very sweet and not at all hard? Because at the beginning it's sweet, the leaves. But when you get to the middle part, which a lot of people throw even, don't throw it, peel it, don't throw it, because that's the most maror. It's a little bit bitter. Not a bad bitter, but enough that you can have a kezais, but it's bitter. And it reminds that Paro behaved in the following way. Trilato matok, vesofo mar. At the beginning, it was very nice, come and do volunteer work, we love you, we love you, we love you. And then it became horrible and horrible and horrible. And it's hidden, it's hinted in the Pasuk and in the word v'ka'asher, not v'ka'asher, in the Pasuk that vayavidu, they made Am Yisrael work, vayavidu Am Yisrael befarech. Befarech means, Rashi says, very hard work, and women the men's work and men the women's work, meaning not just that women have to do the heavy work and the men have to do the whatever, but you have people for everything, but it means something that doesn't make sense. It's a myth of Sisyphus. Why should men do the work of women and women the work of men? Only a sadist will give you to do this, because he can't do it well, she can't do it well. Doesn't make sense. And when you don't have a feeling that you're doing something for a reason, it's so much harder to do it. So peh, befarech, means hard work. Rashi goes into all what I explained, and it says, well, the hey is a volatile letter, which you don't hear. And farech, befarech, is peh rach. Peh rach means at the beginning with a mouth which is soft, nya, 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 you are all volunteer, we love you so much. And then it becomes horrible. It becomes what Rashi says, and hard work, and difficult work, and impossible work. That is going to make that we can't breathe, and we can't even anymore ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to save us, because we are so depressed and so everything. Peh rach. Okay? We'll have a lot of words where we are going to have a hey after the pei in brackets, which is not really there, and rach means soft. We'll have Pesach, the same thing. Okay, we'll talk about it. So that's the maror. And then we have korech, which is the rabbonim, which is the zman of Hillel, where they used to have Pesach, matzah, maror, which is going to be the most important paragraph. If you're in the middle of nursing, if you just had a baby, if you're so tired or you have high fever and you can't be at the whole seder, those 3 paragraphs you better be, because it's the most, call me, whoever didn't hear this is not Yaitse. So this is Pesach, the Korban, Matzah, and Maror. Today we don't have it, because we don't have the Korban, because we don't have the Mishkan, we don't have the Bet HaMikdash, we don't have Korbanos, we don't have all these things. So we only have Matzah and Maror. So you take 2 pieces of Matzah and the Maror in the middle, different shitot, and I'm not into halacha. Now, if you have questions, I'll answer, but we don't. And you say, you eat it, and you say it's after you eat the maror, it's again a kezais. And what do you say? You say zecher lemikdash kehillel. It says that Hillel used to say that you have to, at some point, eat the 3 at the same time. Today we don't have 3, we have 2. So it's reminding us of what was once. Then Shulchan Orech, I used to think when I was a kid, that it means to set the table, Shulchan Aruch. we have to set the table. Like, why is the Shulchan Aruch written Shulchan Aruch? Because it's the laws set up in an orderly fashion that you can find every halacha. A Shulchan Aruch refers to the whole meal. It doesn't just refer, if you don't want to prepare the meal, you know, we have the Haggadahs. So we don't have a meal, we don't have a beautiful 5 plates like when you make a beautiful Suda. We have a little bit for the cup of wine with something, a saucer under it, and then you have the Haggadah. So afterwards we set the table, chick-chack, that's not the main issue, and we eat the meal. But the meal of Leila Seder doesn't have to be so big as people make it. It has to be covered. We put some of the nicest kelim because it's Hidur mitzvah, embellishing the mitzvah. But we eat so much matzah, and that's the main thing, that we don't have, if you fill yourself so much that afterwards you won't be able to eat the afikoman, for example, you miss the boat. So that Shulchan Aruch. Tzafun comes from tzafon, which means the north. Why is it tzafun? Matspun means conscience, something you don't see. You could sound like a nice guy, but you don't have a conscience. Or you could have a bad conscience, a good conscience you don't see. Tzafun means hidden. Which part was hidden? The afikoman was hidden with all the things that the children steal it, the father steal, whatever you want, and we promise him something. But in case the child hid it and fell asleep and you don't manage to wake him up, or he doesn't remember whatsoever where he put it, don't worry. The afikoman, this is a symbol. The afikoman means you have to eat a kazayis matzah. It can be from the box of matzahs. It doesn't have to be from that piece. The father makes as if, oh, I can't finish the seder if I don't have the afikoman which you hid. But it's shtuyot. It's in order with all the things that, to remember that the main idea is leman yitzaveh es benov et beto acharav, because of chinuch for the children, that they should engrave in their kishkas that we were saved from Egypt, that we have hashgocha protis, that Hashem can do it in 1 second, that he can make nahafoch like on Purim, etc., etc. That's tzafun. Barech means benching. Hallel is after the benching, a beautiful part where we sing. People re-wake up because it's with singing, and Nirtza is already a part. After, if somebody is too tired, a woman, whatever, she can go to sleep. Nirtza are all the songs which in Yirtza Hashem, if we have a little bit of time, we'll say which period they came from, and some of it is very beautiful. Every time I'm moved by how, you know, everything that happened on Pesach, everything that happened on in the middle of the night, and all kinds of very interesting things. This was just to get us back into it. The children learning the gan in the cheder to sing it, Kadesh, Schatz, etc. Is it clear? Okay. And then we have, we begin now. If you have questions till now, are there any questions till now? We're just getting into. It's very, very nice. Huh? Anybody has questions?
I don't have questions, but I like that you went. I don't have a question, but I like that you went through it. So, you know, it just reviews it for me.
It's a review, Nachon, it's a review.
Yeah.
We have to get into it. And if I wait till after Purim, there is no time to do anything, okay?
Right.
Okay.
Right. You didn't mention, I don't think you mentioned the charoses. That's the most important for me.
No, the reason why I didn't mention the charoses, but it reminds me of something else, is because I did not make a part of the shiur. I jumped to the Kadesh or Chatz, to the 15, instead of analyzing the Seder plate. So, excuse me, and 5 minutes on the Seder plate. You're absolutely right. Thank you. The 3 matzahs are referring to Am Yisrael, which is Kohen Levi Israel. And something fascinating, I never realized, I don't know if I spoke to you about it. I had a friend, and she was married to a Kohen. Did I speak about it or never? I had a friend, and she was living on Rehov X number 3. And I had a book at home, which I had to give back for a long time. And the people that I had to give the book back was living on Rehov X number 3. So she came to me as a visit with her husband. And when they left, I gave her husband the book. And I thought, if you don't mind, give it to your neighbor who lives on the same floor opposite. And my friend became white, and she said, "You're not allowed to give it to my husband because you can't use a Kohen. He's not your servant." I was meshuga. I didn't realize. Afterwards, I checked, and we learned it, and we saw you can't use a Kohen. Did you know this? So from there, we got to all the questions. First of all, somebody told me that when a teacher teaches a kala nowadays, which they know to do much better than in the past people didn't know anything. They got married without preparation. Don't talk about pure halacha, but everything else. So she asks her if the boy is a Kohen. And then she makes her aware that one has to be much more careful. Now, I'm not going into the halacha. You ask the Rav and ask if it's your own husband and he is moichel, according to a lot of opinions, you can ask him. And somebody even told me something interesting, that since the house, the home, is like mishkan katan, mizbeach katan, whatever katan, and since, we want it to be naki, so he can take the garbage down. Because he wants
my son-in-law is a Kohen, and
what?
My son-in-law is a Kohen, and he does everything for everybody. He's Hatzolah, and he's I don't know. Everybody asks him everything.
I don't know if Hatzolah is the same. I don't know if Hatzolah is
but
the
he
same.
does a lot of other things. He does things for us. Maybe as a son-in-law, I don't know, because
I don't know. I don't know, but it's an interesting subject. So when a woman teaches a kala today, she asks her if she's a Kohen, and she makes her aware. My friend told me, don't ask him anything. And then I'll tell you another case. I married a Kohen, not me, somebody, ex. I married a Kohen, and my son is becoming bar mitzvah, so I can't ask my son to do things. Oy vavoy. I can, and not only that, but he has a bigger mitzvah even, which is kibud em. So I'm just telling you, check it with halacha. It's a subject which is interesting. I never realized. Why do I think about it? Because the three matzahs represent the three parts of Am Yisrael. It doesn't mean he's more, he's less, or anything. I asked a friend, what do you do since your son is a Kohen? She said, I buy him many more socks than to the other children, because since on Shabbos he has to duchen, and the Levi takes off his shoes, so if he has holes in his socks, it's a busha. So that was a joke, but it's a funny one. It's a real one as well. So the three matzos are representing Kohen, Levi, Israel. And then we have the Zroa. And I'm telling you, some people, especially by Sfardim, they look for a bone of the head of a sheep, and they'll make all kinds of effort. We don't eat the Zroa. And if we want to eat it, we wait till the next, after the Seder and in Chutz La'aretz after the two storim, etc., etc. You could, it's only mostly a symbol. You could use something that you buy in a supermarket from plastic. Nobody does it. One takes, but for example, if you use the wing of a chicken, it's good as well. It has to be roasted and only roasted. The beitza, there is a minhag to take a hard-boiled egg, but there is a minhag to put a little bit to put it on the fire for a moment after it's hard. The first year of marriage, I was alone, and not like nowadays that one goes to the parents for the first 10 years. And I put an egg on the fire, splash, all over the house. I didn't realize. I'd seen my mother my whole life, but I didn't go into the details. So a hard-boiled egg, and then it's a little bit as well like roasted. I'll go back to it in a moment. The moror, you know what it is. It's going to remind us of the moror. The charoises is part of the moror. You take very often the moror and you dip it into charoises. Again, no halacha how the charoises has to be. Some say that it's written in the halacha, but it's not a halacha, it's a minion, that they put dates. A lot of the Ashkenazim don't put dates. Mostly it's apples which are ground, and you leave it in the air for a short while so that it should oxidate and be a bit browner. If not, you put cinnamon in it, you put red wine, and you make it 2 days before, because the day before Pesach, if you want to taste it, if it's good enough, the day before Pesach, you're not allowed wine and you're not allowed bread or matzah to make a difference. So if you want to taste the charoises, it's not so clever because you have put wine in it. I don't think it's the end of the world. People ask me about knedelach. It's matzah meal, kemach matzah. So as well, a lot of people say you're allowed. The main thing is the matzah itself, because you have to make a hefsek between before. By the way, a lot of people stop either on Purim or on Rosh Chodesh Nisan to eat matzahs. But halachically, the matzahs which are written chometz, you could. And nowadays that they have exactly the same taste as the other matzahs, we have the minhag not to use matzahs after either Purim or Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Charoises is, as I said, something that looks like what you made the bricks out of. Apples, cinnamon, wine, sugar, and some people put dates or even other things. I don't suggest you to buy it, it's horrible. Anybody that lives in Yerushalayim, I agree to make it for. I make it for a lot of people because I'm used to I make about 2 kilos. And by the way, a lot of people like it as well, so they eat it the next day. And karpas is as I said, potatoes, celery, American celery, even shoresh celery, white, horseradish, parsley or other greens, whatever you want, okay? In the Megillat Esther, karpas refers to the color green because it's connected. And of course, in the maror, we have different things, and you put on the Seder plate a little bit, but of course you have much, much more in a plastic bag, because if you have a lot of people, there is absolutely not enough in the Seder plate for a kezais, okay? Now, the Zoroa reminds us of Korban Pesach, right? That's what it is. The Korban Pesach had to be eaten the same night, and if there is some leftover by the next morning, you're not allowed to use it anymore. So people don't have a lolishma to keep some for the next week in the freezer, because in those days, I'm making a joke, but you understand, but they had to, it was very interesting. They invited, it was family, you invited the whole family. So you see, the fact that the Leila said there are a lot of families, they do a lot of big family, not each family separate, comes from there. And then all together we were eating a sheep, but all together you have to have a lot of guests to eat this. And it's only roasted, it's not allowed to be cooked. A lot of reasons. We could have a shiur of 2 hours, 3 hours on just Korban Pesach, Parashat Bo, after chapter 12 in Shemot. But I don't want to do this. The Maharal has pages and pages on it, other Meforshim as well. I just want to remind you that what you roast becomes harder, and what you cook becomes softer, usually. And Am Yisrael, the Pasuk says in the first perek of Shmot, V'ka asher ya'anu oto, ken yirbe v'chen yifrot. The harder they were treated, the stronger they became. I'm not saying that we should be hard, but no question that people that went through things and succeeded have more strength than people that were spoiled their whole life and never let make any mistake, and everything was taken care for them, no question. So that's why the tribe of Levi, which suffered much less, didn't become as numerous as the other tribes who suffered more. Sounds like it should be the opposite. They have time to have more children and everything. No, Hashem sends a brocha together with the difficulty. That's one of the reasons why it's roasted and not cooked. Another reason, all these are reasons besides the chok, because all these things are as well chok. When you roast something, it becomes more together, and when you cook something, it disintegrates. Take a chicken in water and overcook it, and then put it in a plate and move the plate, everything will separate. And roast something, it's going to be harder and harder. You won't be able to so again, the concept of the fire, as Brent breeder as Kemp, as Brent, the concept of fire is missionis. And Bnei Israel had to go through this fire furnace called their Kur HaBarzel, because it's the same concept, and to become stronger, and then to receive the Torah. And that's why the Erev Rav, which didn't go through all this, they joined Am Israel when they left Egypt, but they hadn't gotten through the difficulties. So the first difficulty that happened, that Moshe Rabbeinu, they thought was a few hours late, he boshesh Moshe Lavo, 6 hours difference, which was their mistake. Immediately they collapsed and they stopped believing, because they hadn't gone through 210 years of believing in spite of. Okay, that's the Zroa. The Zbeitza, they say, the Zroa is Korban Pesach, Paschal lamb. The Beitza is Korban Chagiga. So I don't understand what's the connection. I don't understand. Why should the Beitza be a Korban? For the Chag, you bring a Korban, so it should be as well a piece of meat or something like that. Anybody knows? Anybody remembers? I'm sure I said it other years. Why should the Beitza be a hard-boiled egg, be and a bit burned to remind of a Korban, but it's a Beitza? Why should it be Korban Chagiga?
No, all I remember is that it's the same night as Tisha B'Av, but I don't know if that's what you mean.
That's not the Pshat. The Pshat is because Chag means a festival, and Machog is a compact, and Machog is the concept of roundness, and roundness, Beitza is round. And why is Chag? Chag, we have Moed as well. Moed comes from two things. It's time and it's a Chag.
And a place.
Why Moed a Chag? Because it's a Vad, you gather together. And Chag comes from something round. There is a cycle of the festivals. I can give you a shiur on, give me any of the Chagim of Klal Israel, whatever you want, and I will manage to make you a shiur out of it. You'll take me Sukkos with Shuas, I'll make you. You'll make me Purim and Yom Kippur, everybody knows. But you'll make me Pesach with Chanukah. Anything you'll do, there is a cycle in the festival. They are connected, one with the other, one with the next, or one with the opposite, etc. Chag is like Chagiga. You know, it's a round. So the Beitza represents the roundness of the Chagim. Clear? Now there is something else. You know that the first night, that's what you were referring to. Brenda, I repeat it because you forgot. The first night of Leil HaSeder and the night of Tisha B'Av are always falling on the same day of the week on that year. If this year, when is going to be Pesach? Pesach is going to be... I
think Monday night.
Monday night.
Yeah.
I thought
we
so.
already checked it all out.
Yeah, I thought so. 1 minute. Shabbos HaGodol, Pesach, Erev Chag Pesach. Monday night is going to be Pesach. So if I look further, Leil Tisha B'Av will be Monday night. Shabbos Chazon will be Shabbos, just 2 days before, and Monday night will be Tisha B'Av. What is the connection? Many, many, many connections. You see, Pesach is connected with Tisha B'Av, and Purim is connected with Yom Kippur. That's, as I said, Chag. The connection, according to the Chassam Sofer, so beautiful, is that originally we had to have more than 400 years of slavery in Egypt. But we were at some point, such a point, that one more minute and we would have been lost. We were 49 degrees of tumor, we were this, we were that. Imagine somebody very, very sick. And that person is in a state, it's very interesting, that person is in a state that, take even a person that takes antibiotic for an infection which has difficulty to live. But after a while, because they take antibiotic for 6 months, every month they have to make a blood test. And at some point, it's very bad because the white cells are taking over because so much antibiotic. So you say to the person, your infection is not totally over, but let's give you some strength. I don't want to give the other example, which is much more, which everybody knows, which is the concept of chemio, but it's the same idea. You have to check all the time and not overdo it, because you could win the illness but lose the person with antibiotic, with other things, etc. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw that if they would have stayed one more day or one more minute or whatever, more than 210 years would have been the end. They couldn't take it anymore. Says the Chassam Sofer that because of this, we needed more Galuyot, Bavel, Paras, Madai, Yavan, and Rome. In other words, because we couldn't finish it in one shot, there is a joke that you want your horse to cost you less money, so you make him a diet. It's a stupid joke, but the concept is the same exactly. And you every time give him less food, and he continues until one day you're almost up to giving him no food whatsoever, just he died before. Ha ha ha. Okay, it's a concept that you have to be careful when you do in education, in everything. You have to be careful and parallel to difficulties, to nisyonos, to everything. Don't overdo it. But if you don't overdo it, you don't finish the job. So we needed other galuyot. So we needed a Tisha B'Av, which is both temples, because we couldn't finish the job on Mitzrayim. You understand? The concept, that's the Chassam Sofer, not me. Okay? So this is connected, Leila Seder is connected with Tisha B'Av. Is it clear to everybody? Shoshana? Huh? Malka? Everybody? Brina, Rosiva, whoever?
Yeah, I understand. It's very interesting.
Okay, Maror, everybody knows. Miriam is born at that period when it's the hardest. And because her name is Mar, Miriam is Mar, and Karpas is the greens. We have a lot of Ramazim of Karpas in Megillas Esther as well. And more or less with this, we have the Seder plate. There is one more thing which usually we don't put on the Seder plate, but next to it, it's water with salt, which you should not make if Pesach falls on, if Leila Seder falls on Shabbos, you should make it before. Because, okay. So this is the Seder plate. What time is it? Wow, I have to stop. So we did this, and now remind me that I want to speak about the Kiddush and about the 4 cups. The next thing we speak about the 4 cups, I'll try to go, I mean, things that we know, just that I dipped you back into Pesach a little bit, so I went quite fast. Huh? Then if you have specific places that you want, you tell me and we'll do it as well. So now we have a few weeks, so some things we'll learn. I remember my mother used to take us from the youngest age, and I don't know how she did it while cleaning on her own and everything, but she set us and we prepared so many explanations that we would say at the Leila Seder, so it kept it alive. Okay, if you are in a book and you can't take it and you understand half, and you look how many pages are left, this is a Agoda, so it's long, but if you're excited, or soon we'll get to this part, which we learn, and that part, so you're doing the proper Leila Seder, okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
With pleasure, huh? Okay,
Thank you very much.
Thank you very
All the
much.
best.
Thanks so much.
Sorry, Rosiva, to make you nervous about the word Pesach. Okay, bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.
No, it's okay. I started already cleaning.
Okay.
I'm making a wedding 2 weeks before. No cleaning yet.
Mazel tov.
Thanks.